he was one of Australia's favourite actors. Martin Lynes is now being charged with assaulting a woman. He was arrested earlier this month and has since been released on conditional bail.
Martin, I want to ask you, how are you doing on the personal front?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm sort of, I'm 53 now. I've learned a lot over the years. And I'm in love, and my kids are very close to my kids and my ex-wife. And
you're a proud dad, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, an actor mate of mine said, you'd be dead if you didn't have kids. He's probably right. In that, they get you out of yourself, and just such a joy to watch grow. And
yeah, well, you can't concentrate on yourself when there are kids around.
No, that's right. Yeah. The best thing I ever did was to have a family, and I'm a stepfather, I'm a grandfather, I love it all.
You're a grandfather?
Yes.
Get out.
And I love our family that, so my ex-wife and my current partner are really good friends, and I'm friends with her partner, and we will spend Christmas Day all together. Life. So what I have learned is that it's about friends and family. So I've got the same bunch of friends that just stick with you through thick and thin. Family. There's nothing else. The rest of it's just tinsel, if you will.
When you go through difficult times, though, is the old saying true that you find out who is close to you and who really wasn't?
Yeah, but what's interesting is I only lost one friend, and we weren't particularly close anyway. Right. So in the hardest of times, everybody has not just stood by me, but stood up. It's quite interesting, But that's because they're also aware of the situation and things that generate some of the hard times. But yeah, I feel very lucky. I mean, financially, I've lost everything. I'm rebuilding in that part of my life. But I tell you what, I'd rather have all the friends and family that I've got and be poor than be rich and not have them. Let's say I've had success over the years. People now think, oh, poor you, or he's washed up, he's a has-been. And I don't feel like that. And it's kind of unfair and rude, It's like, you don't know much about my life today and tomorrow and yesterday. So, you knew about it when it was in the magazines. But, that's an unfortunate. I think that it's very hard for a lot of people to deal with. I was talking about Rowena and Francis and Jude earlier. Sometimes that can be very hard. The same way it can be very hard for a young 18, 19, 20, 25-year-old to deal with the getting of fame or success, or however you want to put it. That whole beast is very hard to deal with at all ages. So
because you've got this private self and then the public self, and it must be bizarre to be a public figure, and people read something about a moment in time in your life and then draw conclusions. I'm wondering how that sits.
Well, that's why I've written a book. I wrote a book about my whole life, really. I wrote it for my kids initially and as a diary.
Is it a warts and all book?
Very much so. Look, so let's cut to the chase. I've been in jail for 2 years. My life was torn to shreds by some unfair accusations, very much. So let's get right into it. So like Craig McLaughlin and there's a lot of people in the media, John Jarrett, going through similar things. Some are getting the result. Footballers, I was in a similar situation, but it was so misreported and so unfairly reported. There was a partner of several years that I was with who made accusations. The judge in his sentencing comments said, I don't believe it, but I have to take the jury's verdict, which is extraordinary. That's our legal system. Judge says that. It's just like, what? And that was my life. So I lost everything financially. I went to jail for 2 years and missed 2 years of my kid's life. But it's life lesson, But yeah, when people want to judge you on it, that's why, partly why. So I wrote the book for the kids to hear all the nice stuff, All Saints Night, footy, TV, but the jail stuff is like trying to explain my side of the story. Like, for example, what the judge said is there on public record. It's in sentencing comments, as is the whole trial. The media write what they like, but I was found guilty of digitally penetrating my partner for 3 seconds. That's with your finger.
Yeah,
that's what I went to jail for. That's the warts. But I didn't do that, and I maintained my innocence. I was found guilty of common assault for pushing and pulling hair, and I did do that, and I'm ashamed of that. A man shouldn't do that to a woman. But I learned some lessons about toxic relationships and protecting yourself. And look, to anybody, man or woman, who is in a relationship that they just know is not great, you just have to leave. You just have, as inconvenient or as much as you want that person to change. I've got a theory, which is it all starts with telling each other to fuck off. You start telling the person you love, you start talking to them like that, it can only go one. It has to scale up, and it goes from there to there to there to this, and you end up in these insane arguments, throwing things around your house. If you're in that situation, just end it. You have to. Unfortunately, that even though you love somebody, you just have to leave, because you can end up where I ended up. And it is. I tell you what, there's a whole lot of drama in jail. It is a brutal. People think that Australian jails are cushy. They are not.
Martin, some people believe that high-profile people get preferential treatment in prison.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I mean, I had to fight to survive, literally. Absolutely not. I think it's the other way. The prison guards at Parklea used to sing the theme song to Blue Water High as they walked past the cells at 3 o'clock in the morning. So even the screws were
taunting you.
Yeah, it's all in the book, but it's hellish. So anybody that's in any prison, it's hell. Yeah.
What did you do to get through those couple of years in there?
I read and I wrote. So I read constantly. Once I was allowed to get books. People weren't allowed to send me books. At Silverwater, I wasn't allowed to have a book. That's our jail system. What is that? These people are all walking back into our society, but there is no rehabilitation. You're not even allowed to have a book. It's just crazy. But when I did get to a place where I had access to books, I read. I managed to get to a guitar in the last year, played a lot of guitar, wrote songs, wrote my feelings down. My partner was incredibly supportive. She was the first one at visits every Saturday for 2 years. So my ex-wife brought my kids to see me. I just survived. That's all it's about. But I kept trying to keep my mind out. In some ways, it's an incredibly quiet time because you've got nothing but just time. So you've got time to read and write, and there's really nothing else you can do.
You said it was physically brutal.
Yeah. I got in many fights and, suffered physical damage and inflicted some as well. There's no choice. Jail's a very violent place, especially when you're inside on domestic violence charges.
Well, you become a target.
Absolutely. Like a pedophile. A pedophile is, essentially an easy, they're going to cop it. Any violence against women or children, you are a second-class citizen inside, and you're going to have to. And I had to deal with all. It's so funny. So I had to deal with all the. You're that guy off that show, but inside it was all about Home and Away.
Oh, really?
It's the number one show. The whole jail stops at 7 o'clock whenever Home and Away's on.
So watch Home and Away.
They love it.
Really?
and my character on that was a gangster
Oh, no.
who ended up in jail.
Oh,
When
no.
my trial was underway, they used photos of me in jail on Home and Away.
Of course they did.
Yeah. Extraordinary stuff, but luckily it's all in the past. So
Yeah. And what's your future? What is your future?
I think it's magnificent.
Yeah.
It always.
Because there was real estate was floated. You were a real estate.
I was very successful, and I still got good friends in real estate, and I loved it. I made good money. Made more money in real estate than I did acting.
Oh, I bet you did. I know what real estate agents are like, Martin.
I enjoyed it because your clients love you. The general public thinks you're a jerk, but
so you don't want to go. You don't want to go back to that, but you want to do something.
I don't feel like I can.
Right.
In many ways, my reputation is destroyed. And my opportunities are extremely limited, and I have to carry that around with me all the time, that kind of self-awareness of what people might think of me. But I'm a very strong sort of character, so but creatively I always wanted to be an old actor. I think older people are so interesting, So I hope I get to act. It won't be the end of the world if I don't. If I don't, I'll keep making my music at home. I'm loving home recording and just experimenting and exploring all of that. I've got like a whole album of prison songs.
Oh, really?
Yep.
What are some of the titles?
Well, I'll give you a bit of one that everybody loves called Slotted, which is what they call in jail, like a get to your slots. 24 hours locked in your slot, six-step pacing, think I'm going to lose the plot. Screws turn the key, they don't give a fuck. If you thought you had rights, I'm sorry you're out of luck. You watch your sun rise, you watch your sunset. If you can get a little high, it's as good as it gets. It's like a human pound, inmates howling in their cages. Only tales of woe written in these pages. 48 hours locked in your cell. 2 days of crushing boredom, a living fucking hell. You're doing head miles, sitting thinking of the past. Think of ways to end yourself, something clean and fast. Instead of waking up to face another day, but I do get up. I somehow find a way. Living in protection with the lowest of the low. Yeah, year gone by, another 3 to go. Pick me in the yard and I'll put you on show. Same shit every day. I lost my sense of humour. I'm always on escort. It's like I'm on tour. It wouldn't be so bad if I knew that I was guilty. Felt bad about what I did. Wanted to show some humility. I could have copped it sweet if I got a fair whack, but the media strung me up. The judge was on crack. So if your girl starts acting crazy, like she started losing plot, you best be on your bike, sunshine, before you join me in my slot.
Far out, Martin. That tells the whole story.
Pretty much. That was the first thing I wrote inside, just out of sheer boredom. And
Oh, wow. Are you going to record it?
I already have, yeah.
You have?
I got a whole sort of EP of jail songs, but I've got another collection of songs that got nothing to do with jail, because that's sort of the whole jail experience is fading into my past,
Yeah, yeah.
And the work's all done, the writing, the book's written, the songs are written. Whether, I don't really care whether they find an audience or whatever. I'd like to publish the book. I wanted to publish the book just so I had one in the car at all times, so that if anyone ever tried to judge me, I could just say, read the whole story. But you know what? No one's tried to judge me. No one's approached me in the street. No one, not one person. But I'm still sure that that's because they're physically scared of me. So you still think, but behind, they laugh, they say this or that behind closed doors or whatever. But I don't think they do.
Are you hopeful that the entertainment industry will afford you a second chance?
Hopeful's probably the wrong word. If they did, I'd be grateful. But not everybody's strong enough.
So you'd be a gamble. Is that what you're saying?
Of course.
Yeah.
But look at Mike Tyson. This is the other thing. It's very hard to talk about that, I didn't do it, because then people just roll their eyes. It's like you were found guilty in a court of law, and it's like, yep, read what the judge said. But anyway, forget all that. Even if I was guilty of a 3-second penetration with my finger, I've paid the price. I've served the time. So some people truly believe in that. Everybody gets a second chance. So even in those circumstances, I've paid. I went to jail. I survived. I behaved. I'm out. It's over.
And you've got the right people around you.
Oh, yeah. This is the thing. Anybody listening, I'm fine. I'm loved. The book's called The Loved One. I'm so lucky. My partner, my kids, my ex, my friends, I'm so lucky. I'm fine. I'm better than most people.
Oh, well, good on you, mate. Honestly, regardless of anything else, we've all got our stories, right?
Everyone.
And life is life is brutal, frankly. Sometimes it just keeps throwing the most unexpected things at you. And the character you helped shape, the one we started talking about, Luke Forlano, is a huge part of, a lot of people's lives, funnily enough. You're a very talented actor.
Thank you
Martin,
very much.
Great talking to you, mate.
I had an idea for a spin-off show, The Forlano Files. James Garner show.
Well, as long as he starts by speeding into shot in the Porsche.
Well, yeah, because James Garner had I think he had a Camaro. So, like, Luke lives in a trailer by the sea, and each week he gets into a medical dilemma.
I love it. You should write that. You've got so much creative energy. Start writing that script.
Yeah, too old now. But I've had to trust a new young Forlano.
The young Forlano Files. I like that.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure talking to you, Martin.
You too, Tim.